everyone, I'm Anna and this is the R5 Leather Workshop, where today we're going to be learning a simple way to incorporate a zipper into the tote bag that we made a few weeks back. I will show you how to incorporate this into your tote bag, and this can be done with most of the bags that you might make. But before we move on to that, the first thing I want to talk about are the different types of zippers you may encounter the different types of zippers that you may encounter when doing this project and what would be best for this particular project. First, there are two different types of zippers. You have zippers that have plastic teeth and metal teeth. Plastic zippers can come in all different types. They can come in finished, where the ends are completed and the zipper has a stopper on either end. You can also find them in a continuous strand of zipper. And the same goes for the metal teeth zipper. You can find them pre-finished as well as in a continuous strand. Now, you may be wondering, what are the pros and cons and when should I use what? So the pre-made ones are convenient in that they can be used for a lot of projects and you don't have to think about trying to attach a zipper pull on or connecting a stopper at the bottom. However, the main problem with a pre-made zipper at a set length is it may not work for your project. You may have to buy an extra long zipper for a project because they don't make something in between a small and that one you need. And so you may end up wasting a lot of zipper or buying a more expensive one than maybe you think you need. Continuous strand, on the other hand, are great because they are one long strand and you can cut them to the exact size that you need. And once you get the hang of learning how to put the pull on, they're really not that difficult. For today's project, I would highly recommend that you get continuous strand. This project really will not work with a pre-made zipper, so we will be using continuous strand here. As far as whether you want plastic teeth or metal teeth, that's really up to you. If you've never worked with continuous strand zippers before, I would probably recommend go to Amazon, find a roll of the plastic continuous strand and work with that for a while so you just kind of get used to it. And if you waste some, you don't feel as bad because it's quite a bit cheaper. Metal teeth are a fair amount more expensive. But I'm going to be using metal. I do prefer metal with leather bags because I feel like you can get it to match your hardware, and I just think it gives a more elegant and finished look. So that's what we'll be doing today. I have my zippers here are from YKK. I find them to be the best quality for the best price. Riri zippers are also out there. They are about double the price of YKK zippers. And although I have bought them in very specific situations when I need a very specific color set, I do tend to always use YKK as my default. Again, they have the best prices for the quality, in my opinion. So this is a YKK zipper that we're going to be using today. So before we officially get started with this project, let's go over the tools that we're going to need. Today, you're going to need a hammer or an maul. You're going to need your stitching chisels. You're going to need something to cut your leather with either a rotary blade or a X-Acto knife, scissors, wax thread, needles, leather glue, or if you prefer, Ted's tape will also work in today's scenario, a scratch-all, a lighter, and possibly a dye, preferably in an ink pen. I find that they work the best. So for today's project, we're actually going to be using the same cutout pattern from my tote bag video. So go back to that video and find the dimensions of the bag if you want to copy my work here exactly. So I've already got everything cut out here. This is a piece of Horween in what's called Midnight. It's this really deep, deep blue color that we're going to be using today. So I have it at this point where everything is cut and all my holes are punched. This is kind of where you want to be to get ready to prepare to do zippers. So cut out your pattern. Then you're going to need to cut out for the to attach the zipper, you're going to need 2 pieces of leather that are 2 inches shorter than your final bag length. So in the case of this bag, this one is 10 inches across. So I need 2 strips of leather that are 8 inches long. And then you need what the 2 pieces combined, when put side by side, they need to be 1 inch shorter than your final width. So this bag is 4 inches, and see that there, and this is 1 inch shorter. Now you gain back most of this distance when you add the zipper to the project. So that's why it's shorter. It will end up being almost the same width as the bag itself, but you need to account for your zipper length as well. So the next thing we need to do is to prepare our zipper. Now for this particular style, you do not need stoppers on either end of the zipper, which is part of the reason I really like this method that I've been using, because I don't have to buy those little additional pieces or anything. All I have to do is I just put leather that I rivet on either end, and I'll show you that at the end. So here we have the zipper. Now the length of your zipper. The length of your zipper here, more measurements for you, is, so this bag is, see, I've forgotten already, 14 inches before it's assembled. So it's 14 inches across here. You want this zipper to be at a minimum that same length of your start length here. It can be longer if you'd prefer, but it should not be shorter. You're gonna want it longer, at least this long. So I'm actually gonna give myself a little slack, and I'm gonna actually make this 15 inches, but it can be as short as this length here. So now, when you cut, if you're using plastic zipper is super easy to size. You literally can just snip it right across real easy, but the metal, you can't do that. So here's the little trick that I have learned. I come across to where I want to cut it, and I cut right between 2 teeth on one side. And then I kind of try to pull it apart, and then you try to kind of cut through another set of teeth on the other. No, like that. Okay? And at this point, you do not need to attach your pole. However, I will show you real quickly how to do that, and also then you know what side you need to start from. So with the YKK zippers, the little teeth need to be facing away from the pole itself. So if the pole's going this way, the little teeth are facing like this direction. So if your teeth are facing this way, then you have the wrong end open. So you want to slightly open up your zipper. You want to slightly open your zipper, and then usually, as you can see here, I have one more tooth on this side than on this side. I put that side in first. I will say it is actually much easier to usually do metal over plastic doing this. And there you go. Super easy. They do have tools that you can buy that make this even easier. I've gotten really used to just doing it that way. So there's that, like that. But you actually don't attach that till the end. So I'm gonna take it off. So there is your zipper. The next thing we need to do is grab our lighter and just seal off these ends so it doesn't shred while you're working. Just real quick. You just don't want those to go away. There. Okay, so this here is my start end. So if you want your zipper to go open and close a very specific way, also bear that in mind when you're working. So from here, we know that our zipper is 15 inches across. So what I like to do is we're now going to get out these two pieces that we've cut, and you're going to want to center them. I'm going to go ahead and use Tote's tape for this. It is easier to use Tote's tape for this particular part. Later, the glue will be the better option. So attaching the zipper with Tote's tape is, I would highly recommend. You could also use basting tape if you wanted, but I find basting tape doesn't really stay sticky against leather, but it will against the zipper piece itself. So I'm going to use this metallic Sharpie here to mark things. I find that these metallic Sharpies, I can just see things on dark colors. So real quick. So this is 15 inches long. So my halfway point is 7.5. And then these are 8 inches. So on the back side is where I'm going to mark them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Mark them both 4 inches in at the halfway mark. So that's where they're going to go. So they'll match. Can't really see that. I said these metallic ones work great, but they're not showing up today. But it's right there. I can see it, but you probably can't see it on camera. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to put Tote's tape on the back side of the leather. So I'm going to put this down. So our Tote's tape is on both of those. And then I'm going to pull this up, pull up our Tote's tape. Okay, so back to our halfway mark. And then you're just going to lay this down. How far you go in kind of depends on you. You can go farther out. I wouldn't bump the leather right up against the metal teeth, but you can kind of gauge it. Although you need to be aware how much distance you have when you stitch, because you don't want to stitch through this and miss the actual zipper fabric. All right, so there's that. And now, just gonna go through, and with your wing dividers, also something you need. I knew I missed the tool. And you're gonna mark it. Okay, and then we can go back through. And you can just go through and punch this and then stitch it. Just a reminder, if you needed tips on how to stitch, I also have a video on how to stitch. So I'll see you after it's all stitched. So now we're done stitching the zipper, the leather pieces onto the zipper. So from here now we need to attach it to the tote bag itself. So from here, again, you need to measure across and find the halfway point. And I have to remark it on the zippers as well, or on the zipper portion as well. So there it's marked halfway. And then this one is 14 inches across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there is 7 inches that way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I've marked it on the other side as well. So what you're going to do now is you're going to mark off. I usually like to use the wing dividers and mark off 1/4 inch and here. And you're going to use your glue, and you're going to glue down this on the one side only right now. So you're going to put the glue down And actually you can put glue on both sides. I don't know what I was thinking. You can put glue on both sides, but you're not going to attach everything right away. So I usually just like to line that up because you don't want to glue where the leather pieces won't connect. And you'll be able to access these punches. So we're gonna give that a minute to, we're gonna give this a minute to dry a little bit, and then I'll show you how we connect these. Okay, so now that you've got the sides dry and you got your mark, you're going to connect the first side. Here's where you need to be aware if you want your zipper to open and close in very specific directions, just be aware of your placement. So here you're going to, you have your mark on this side, on the bottom, and you're going to line it up and try to make it as flush with this top as possible, okay? So then what I do is I take the other side. I usually like to clip this down. The glue should hold, but you are going to be kind of tugging things across. So putting some sort of clip down is helpful. And then I come across and look at my marks again and mark those. So now we have this connected like this. From here, what I do is I undo the zipper. You know it's lined up, you know the pieces are connected properly, and so now, from here what I do is you're going to, so if you want, you can just stitch across the area where you've laid the leather down. However, I would highly recommend that you actually score across with your wing dividers and stitch the whole distance. Just stitching right here, it won't look as clean. You're more than welcome to do it that way. There's nothing wrong with doing it that way, but I've always just stitched all the way across because it just makes the bag, again, look more finished and refined and professional. So I'm going to finish marking the other side and stitch the top of that. Once you have stitched the top of that, you can assemble the bag like you saw in the previous video from that point on. So I will show you the finished stitching up along the top and then we'll go from there. Okay, so you can see here that I have stitched across here and on both sides. So now that you're here, you're going to assemble this bag like you would anything else, like you would the bag that we did before. So you'll clip everything up and stitch it there. Go refer to that video for a reminder on how to stitch that up. I'm going to stitch this bag up and turn it, and then I'll show you how to finish off the zipper. You can see here, I have the bag done. So what you're going to do now is you're going to pull up this zipper part and attach the pole like I showed you before. Maybe, I don't know. Apparently it doesn't want to go in my hands. Oop, did I do the wrong side? I did. Yeah, you'll know real fast if you're doing the wrong side. There we go. See, it was so much easier. So now that you have this one side done, and I cut that the wrong length. This piece of scrap from the corners or the bottom pieces that I cut out earlier for this next part. So your zipper's installed, and now you just need to create kind of homemade end pieces here. So this is about I think it's about 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches Across, I usually go 1.5 inches. No, 1.25 inches. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go 1.25 inches. 1.25 inches. So this piece is 4 inches this way. I'm just gonna cut it in half. So it's 2 inches by 1.25 inches. And all you need to do now is, so this is, by the way, why you wanted it so long. You want to make sure that it will open the full width of your bag. So that's why I always make sure it's at least the width of the top before assembling. Oh, no, that side's more complicated. We'll start with the easy side. So what I usually do is I just kind of hold it down. I fold it over in half. I don't know if this is the best way to do it. It's just the way I do it. There's probably a better way. If you have a better way, let me know in the comments down below. So I just pinch that on, and then you can do the same thing over here. This one gets a little bit more, feels more complicated because you have the zipper, because you can't just pull it off the end. Also, I didn't mention it, you can edge dye all of this. That's what the pen was for. Like you can see here the different kind of colors. So you can do that at the end. It was kind of bugging me. So what I usually do when I'm clipping these is I clip the one side, I like put it on the edge like that on the first side, and then I just kind of line up the other one like that. Like that. Now, obviously, you don't leave it like that. It's not done. You need to secure them down. So, isn't that stylish? Just leave it like that. No. So this is where this tool comes in. I love this rotary punch. I waited way too long to get one of these. Get one of these early. They're cheap on Amazon. I don't know what I paid for this one. It was pretty cheap. So again, I'm going to start on this side, and then I just hold it down, and I just usually kind of eyeball it. Make sure you actually have the zipper in there though. And I punch a hole. We'll try that again. There we go. See, you heard that time, right? So I do one side. And then I do this one. Like that. And then we'll do this side. Now this side where the zipper is open on both sides, you have to kind of hold the leather down and pinch down these teeth when you take the clip off temporarily. Also, it helps to use your things the right direction. I know, seems logical, right? All right, then we'll just there. There we go. Okay, so now I have all my holes punched. And then from here, again, I go through. You could do this right after you punch them. I just tend to like to punch everything all at once. So I'm gonna place all of my rivets here. You could actually sew across if you wanted. I just find this much easier than trying to punch stitching chisel holes across here to secure it. So I usually just always use rivets because they always do this at the end. Okay, and then you just need to use your preferred method for connecting these, whether you have a press or if you have to do it by hand. And that's it. So now from here you would go on and connect your handles, and you're done. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope that was helpful with the zipper. I do actually have an upcoming video where we're going to do a slightly more complicated version of a video, or a more complicated version of a zipper. That is going to be part of my designer inspired bag that we're going to produce. That's coming up pretty soon as well. So keep your eye out for that if you want to learn a little more complicated zipper version. But this is the super easy way to do it. It's quick, and it's just a really quick way to do it. It looks nice, and you have a nice zipper for a nice closure. Like I said, you could finish off with the pen if you want and edge everything off like we've done before. So I hope to see you next time, and I hope you have a great day.